Okay, hi everybody. So this is kind of an impromptu video. I did not plan on doing this, so let me get the elephant in the room out of the way. Setup has changed because the room that I usually film in is full of junk, and this is slightly less full of junk, so I don't even know what you guys can see, what you can see. Try to ignore. I apologize. Like I said, was not planning on doing this. But while I was scrolling through Twitter last night trying to fall asleep, what else is new? No, I'm out of coffee. Anyways, I found this website, which is called I Write Like. What this website is you can read the little thing that says, check which famous writer you write like with this statistic analysis tool, which analyzes your word choice and writing style and compares them with those of the famous writers. So what you do is you take a page of your writing, you put it in here, and the website will analyze your writing and say that you write like this person. The person who I found this from, I think, got Stephen King. So I'm curious to see, one, what is their qualifier for famous writers? Like, what constitutes a famous writer? And how far back does this go, and how widespread are the genres? Because I'm going to be plugging in my 10-minute play, How Are You, and my screenplay, Stiletto, just to see what the heck happens. So I'm going to be doing a couple of different things here. I'm going to be putting something in for Starforged, something in for my current work in progress canvas. I'm going to be putting How Are You in. I'm going to be putting Stiletto in. And just for shits and giggles, I'm going to be putting in some writing from a very old piece of work that I never actually finished. So I'm just curious to see how I've changed. So let's start with Starforged. Let me go to my documents here. There. And just highlight a page worth of stuff. Copy. And plug it on in and see what happens. I write like Harry Harrison. I don't think I know him. Okay, Harry Harrison wrote Make Room, The Stainless Steel Trio, The Stainless Steel Rat Omnibus, George Harrison, Living in the Material World, The Stainless Steel Rat Returns. Oh, Ender's Game. He wrote Ender's Game. Harry Harrison, born March 12, 1925, is an American science fiction author, best known for his character, the Stainless Steel Rat, and the novel Make Room. The basis for the film Soylent Green, 1973. He is also, with Brian Aldiss, co-president of the Birmingham Science Fiction Group. Well, that's cool. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that's my science fiction book, so it makes sense I would get a science fiction writer. But that's freaking cool. Okay, so they get fairly recent, obviously, with Stephen King. I wonder how old they get. Like, are we going to have the guy who wrote Gilgamesh in here? I don't know if that's possible, but... Oh, come on, website, don't do this to me now. Why are you freezing up on me while I'm trying to film? Okay, there we go. I just had to open a new tab and do it all over again. Okay, so now I'm gonna do Canvas. And actually, now that I think about it, the prologue of Canvas is supposed to be in the style of a news article, so I might plug that in separately and see what happens. Analyze, what do we got? Agatha Christie! That's the best thing I could hear for my murder mystery book. Okay, so if you're living under a rock and you don't know who Agatha Christie is, she wrote And Then There Were None, which is perfect on a mathematical level. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, Hercule Poirot, The Complete Short Stories, The ABC Murders, The Murder on the Links, a Hercule Poirot mystery. I love Hercule Poirot. I love David Suchet. And The Mysterious Affair at Styles. But they didn't include Murder on the Orient Express. That's like her most famous work. Okay, even though most people know who Agatha Christie is, let's read about her. Dame Agatha Mary Clarissa Christie, DBE, née Miller. What does the DBE stand for? Does anybody know? 15 September 1890 to 12 January 1976. Was a British crime writer of novels, short stories, and plays. She also wrote romances under the name Mary Westmacott. I didn't know that. I want to read those now. But she is best remembered for her 66 detective novels and more than 15 short story collections, especially those featuring Hercule Poirot and Miss Jane Marple. Sorry I keep doing that when I say Hercule's name, but I've watched enough of the series, so. And her successful West End plays. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, Christie is the best-selling novelist of all time. Her novels have sold roughly 4 billion copies, and her estate claims that her work ranks third after those of William Shakespeare and the Bible as the most widely published books. Go figure. According to Index Translationum, Christie is the most translated individual author, with only the collective corporate works of Walt Disney Productions surpassing her. Her books have been translated into at least 103 languages. That's cool. Agatha Christie published 2 autobiographies, a posthumous one covering childhood to old age, and another chronicling several seasons of archaeological excavation in Syria and Iraq with her second husband, archaeologist Max Mallowan, which isn't he kind of a dirty dog, if I remember that correctly? The latter was published in 1946 with the title Come, Tell Me How You Live. Christie stage played The Mousetrap, which I saw in high school. A friend of mine was doing it at their school for his senior play. That was pretty cool. Holds the record for the longest initial run. It opened at the Ambassadors Theatre in London on 25 November 1952, and as of 2012 is still running after more than 24,600 performances. In 1955, Christie was the first recipient of the Mystery Writer of America's highest honor, the Grand Master Award, and in the same year, the prosecution was given an Edgar Award by the MWA for Best Play. Many of her books and short stories have been filmed, some more than once: Murder on the Orient Express, Death on a Nile, and 450 from Paddington, for instance, and many have been adapted for television, radio, video games, and comics. Did anybody see Kenneth Branagh's version of Murder on the Orient Express? I did. It was okay, but I'm sorry, Kenneth, you're not David Suchet. I'm sorry. So let's see if my news article comes up with a different writer. I'm very curious. I wonder if I'll get a journalist. I write like Arthur Clarke. The collected short stories of Arthur C. Clarke, Childhood's End, a novel, Rendezvous with Rama, 2010, Odyssey 2, a novel, Earthlight, and Against the Fall of Night. Sir Arthur... he's a sir. So he's been... Okay. So the Queen approves. Sir Arthur Charles Clarke, CBE Fras Sirlankampimanya. Does anybody know what those mean? 16 December 1917 to 19 March 2008. Oh, he's recent. Was a British science fiction author, inventor, and futurist, famous for his short stories and novels, among them 2001 A Space Odyssey, 1968, and as a host and commentator of the British television series Mysterious World. For many years, Robert A. Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, and Clarke were known as the Big Three of science fiction. Of course, they leave out, Mary Shelley, the woman who practically invented the damn thing. Clarke served in the Royal Air Force as a radar instructor and technician from 1941 to 1946. He proposed a satellite communication system in 1945, which won him the Franklin Institute Stuart Ballatin Battalion Gold Medal in 1963. He was the chairman of the British Interplanetary Society from 1947 to 1950, and again in 1953. Clarke immigrated to Sri Lanka in 1956, largely to pursue his interest in scuba diving. That year, he discovered the underwater ruins of the ancient Konshwarma Temple in Trincomalee. He lived in Sri Lanka until his death. He was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in 1998 and was awarded Sri Lanka's highest civil honor. Okay, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that again. I'm not going to butcher it. In 2005. Okay. He's had a bit of an exciting life for just a... He discovered underwater ruins. Like, that's Indiana Jones level of cool. Okay, so now I'm going to do my play, How Are You? Let's see what happens. Okay, analyze. I write like James Joyce. Okay. Dubliners, Ulysses, Finnegan's Wake, James Joyce, Oxford Lives, Ulysses Annotated, Ulysses, the 1922 text, James Augustine Aloysius, I assume, Joyce, 2 February 1882 to 13 January 1941, was an Irish novelist and poet considered to be one of the most influential writers in the modernist avant-garde of the early 20th century. Joyce is best known for Ulysses, 1922, a landmark work in which the episodes of Homer's Odyssey are paralleled in an array of contrasting literary styles, perhaps most prominently the stream of consciousness technique he perfected. Other major works are the short story collection Dubliners, 1914, and the novels A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, 1916, and Finnegan's Wake, 1939. His complete oeuvre, anybody who speaks French, you can correct me on that, Oeuvre, I know it's not hors d'oeuvre, but... includes 3 books of poetry, a play, occasional journalism, and his published letters. Interesting that I got a poet and a journalist and not a playwright for my play. That's interesting. I'm curious. Okay. Now I'm gonna do stiletto and see what happens because, you know, with screenplays it's very different than even just plays. It's a whole new monster, so I'm very curious. I write like David Foster Wallace. Infinite Jest, The Pale King, Everything and More, a compact history of infinity. Conversations with David Foster Wallace, The Uninhabitable Earth, The Cambridge Companion to David Foster Wallace. Okay. David Foster Wallace, February 21, 1962 to September 12, 2008. Again, another recent one. Was an award-winning American author of novels, essays, and short stories, and a professor at Pomona College in Claremont, California. He was widely known for his 1996 novel Infinite Jest. In 2005, Time magazine included the novel in its list of 100 best English language novels from 1923 to the present. Cool. Los Angeles Times book editor David Ulin called Wallace one of the most influential and innovative writers of the last 20 years. Wallace's unfinished novel, The Pale King, was published in 2011, and in 2012 was the finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. Wow, okay. I didn't know that he didn't finish The Pale King. Again, interesting that I got, a typical writer and not somebody who writes screenplays like, I don't know, Guillermo del Toro. It's not that I believe I'm on the level of Guillermo del Toro, but it's interesting that we're kind of limiting ourselves to just writers of novels, and if they happen to go outside of something else, it's just coincidence. They kind of stick with books. I'm curious if everybody else is getting the same thing if they write, excuse me, just had coffee, if they write books and plays and screenplays. Okay. Last thing, I'm going to do a page from a piece of work that I never finished called Adrenaline. It was about an adrenaline junkie who starts to work for Scotland Yard. To be honest with you, it was very much in the style of Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock, just with an adrenaline junkie instead of a high-functioning sociopath. So, let's see what we can find out. I write like Cory Doctorow. Radicalized, Homeland, Walk Away a Novel, Overclocked, More Stories of the Future, of of the future present, Frankenstein, annotated for scientists, engineers, and creators of all kind, the MIT Press. Okay. This is what a librarian looks like, the celebration of libraries, communities, and access to information. Corey Ephraim Doctorow, born July 17th, 1971. Hey, fellow July baby. Is a Canadian-British blogger, journalist, and science fiction author who serves as co-editor for the web blog Boing. He's an activist in favor of liberalism, copyright laws, and a proponent of the Creative Commons organization, using some of their licenses for his books. Some common themes of his work include digital rights management, file sharing, and post-scarcity economics. I'm gonna have to do more research into this guy, because that's a lot of stuff I don't know about. But this is cool. This is cool to see how I write differently. It's pretty freaking cool. I'm really curious to see what other writers get when they plug into this. Did I just create a writer tag by accident? Maybe? Okay, I had to do this. So I want to tag other people and ask them to do this. So I'm going to tag my beautiful critique partner, Shanna Conde. I have to make sure I get that right. Shanna Conde. I want to see what you write like. Jenna Moreci. I want to see who you could be compared to. I know you don't like comparing your work, and I totally respect that, but I'm curious at this point. And I'm curious to see if it changes from Eve the Awakening to the Savior's Champion. So I'm kind of curious at this point. And I also want to tag T.A. Woods from my AuthorTubers group. So I'm curious to see what results you guys get when you plug into this little website. So if you want to try this yourself, go to iwl.me and copy a page of your work and plug it into the little space, and it'll analyze your writing. So I guess I just created the I write like tag. Purely by accident. Okay. So I'm going to end this video here before I get too awkward. So thank you guys for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.